Honorable members of Parliament, and especially Honorable Member WECHSLER, thank you very much for your hospitality today. Distinguished guests and participants, good morning. I may welcome you on behalf of NEREUS and the co-organizers today to our presentation on Copernicus4Regions. My name is Thomas Eckert. I'm the head of the Hessen office, and I had the pleasure to step in last minute for a colleague from another region, and I'm very pleased to do this. I've only recently arrived here. Some I know, some I don't, but I'm very happy to be here today. Before we get started, I would like to inform you that our event is web streamed and will be recorded. It is now my pleasure, and without further ado, we will go into the gist of the matter, to ask MEP Andrea WECHSLER to take the floor for her address. Please.
Dear Mr. Eckert, honorable members, and distinguished guests, when Nicolaus Copernicus placed the Earth within a wider system, he fundamentally changed Europe's understanding of its place in the world. And as you all know, most famously, Copernicus challenged the very conventional wisdom of his time by demonstrating that the Earth revolves around the sun. And today, the EU program that bears his name once again helps us to see our world differently, clearly, precisely, and with a strategic foresight our union needs in times of uncertainty. It is a pleasure to welcome you all today to the European Parliament for this Copernicus4Regions breakfast debate. And I thank NEREUS and all the partners for their continued leadership and for bringing together practitioners, public authorities, scientists, and policymakers. As a network of European regions using space technologies, NEREUS offers a dynamic platform of all regions aiming at making a better use of space application for the delivery of efficient public policies benefiting our citizens. And our program today very much so reflects this diversity. We will discuss today first Copernicus as a tool for European public policy. We will then also discuss a future with Copernicus. And it's a great pleasure for me to also welcome today our speakers, Thierry Cotel, NEREUS President and Regional Council of the region Occitanie, Thomas Wolf from the State Agency for Environmental Protection, Baden-Württemberg, Anna Hook, member of the Management Board of the Copernicus4Regions region, Aurore Delahaye, French Ministry of Ecological Transition, Biodiversity, Forestry and Sea, and Elisabeth Hamduk-Führer, Deputy Head of the Unit Earth Observation in DIR, and Pierre Potin, Head of Copernicus Space Office, Directorate of Earth Observation Programs, European Space Agency. And of course, all of you, for the debate, members of the Parliament, members of the Commission, people from industry, thank you very much for being here. I'm very much looking forward to the discussions. Now, across Europe, regional and local administrations already rely on Copernicus, whether monitoring lakes, water quality, assessing land use changes, or building climate resilient services. Copernicus delivers actionable data that directly supports governance. These user stories illustrate a core strength of the program. It transforms world-class space infrastructure into very practical operational services for citizens. But Copernicus is more than an environmental or climate tool. It's a pillar of Europe's strategic autonomy. The EU space strategy for security and defense recognizes how space is essential for our security, our economy, and our resilience. Also, the EU space program brings together various programs to ensure that Europe is not dependent on others for critical space-based services. And this connects directly with the Commission Work Program 2026, where Europe's independence moments very much so highlights Europe's need to control the technologies that power our economy, strengthen our industrial base, secure our critical infrastructures, and respond to climate impacts with greater resilience. Europe's regions stand at the forefront of this transformation. They translate this data into water management, agricultural planning, environmental enforcement, and into early warning capacities. They create value chains, support SMEs, stimulate innovation ecosystems, and they strengthen regional uptake. And that's not just an afterthought. It is how Europe turns space investment into societal value. And so having said this, I look very much so forward to our discussion on how Copernicus can further empower public administrations, how it can strengthen Europe's autonomy, and how we together can secure a strong future for the EU space program. Thank you very much, and I wish us all a very productive debate, and don't forget to have breakfast. It's all on the tables. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Wechsler. Copernicus4Regions is a joint initiative by the European network NEREUS, the European Space Agency, ESA, and the European Commission. The Earth observation data from Copernicus has proved to be highly useful for many purposes in regional administration and planning. Today, you have said it already, we want to share some examples with you. The use of Copernicus and its data continues to play an important role for the next multi-annual financial framework and all the programs that are related. Our objective today is to show the tangible benefits of Copernicus to European policymakers. Before we get to our testimonials, I would like to introduce our organizers. You've already done so, but allow me to do it again. President of NEREUS, Thierry Coutel. Pierre Potin from the European Space Agency. And last but not least, I should have introduced you first, ladies first, I'm very sorry. Elisabeth Hamdusch-Führer, Deputy Head of Unit from the European Commission. As I said, today we present to you 3 showcases for the concrete use of Copernicus, data from different European regions. We are very happy to have 3 representatives of different public administrations who will share their experiences and explain how Copernicus supports them for their specific needs, each in a different context. The first user experience comes from Thomas Wolf, from the State Agency of Environmental Protection in Baden-Württemberg. Mr. Wolf will share with us his experiences with a satellite-based water quality monitoring system for more than 200 lakes. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and I'm very happy that I have today the opportunity to give you a short insight into our satellite-based lake monitoring system. My name is Thomas Wolf. I'm coming from the Federal State Agency for Environmental Protection of the Federal State of Baden-Württemberg, in the south of Germany. And one of our major obligations is the protection and monitoring of inland waters, especially lakes. And we all appreciate the beauty and value of lakes, but right now they are facing serious challenges caused by how we are using the land and water around them. And due to the manifold of industrial, agricultural, and leisure activities. So human pressures are impacting the water quality and the ecosystems in these lakes. In order to protect and preserve the lakes, their water quality, and their unique ecosystems for future generations, we need a consistent monitoring framework or methodology. And we have a saying, we can only protect what we know. And, but our classical in situ monitoring techniques, we go out with a boat, take water samples and analyze them in the lab, allows us only to monitor 10 to 15 lakes per year intensively. Compare this number to the sheer number of lakes we do have in the federal state. We have 28 lakes greater than 50 hectares, 260 lakes greater than 10 hectares, and 1,300 lakes greater than 1 hectare. So there's an obvious gap between our monitoring necessities and our in situ monitoring capabilities. Therefore, we started in the year 2022 our satellite-based lake monitoring program using Copernicus data. Specifically, we use the data from the Sentinel-2 and Sentinel-3 missions. In the year 2022, we monitored 50 lakes. In 23 and 24, we monitored and extended our monitoring program to 200 lakes. And this year, in 2025, for the very first time, we are monitoring all lakes bigger than 5 hectares. This sums up to a number of about 450 lakes. What do we pursue with our satellite monitoring program? First of all, we complement our data from the in situ measurement program with higher temporally and spatially resolved satellite data. Second, we get for the very first time a consistent and comparable water quality data for this huge amount of lakes, as I mentioned, 450 lakes and ponds. And third, we offer this information also to other administrational authorities and water protection agencies, and in the near future also to the general public. What do we need? What do we want to continue with our work and with our satellite monitoring program? We need work and we need money and we need enthusiasm. We have all of these. We are also very looking forward for the new satellites and sensors to come. For instance, also hyperspectral sensors, which will give us the possibility to gain much deeper insight into ecosystem functioning. But first of all and foremost, we need also the support and the help of the European Parliament and the European Commission and Executive, because so far the Water Framework Directive, which is our main regulatory framework, doesn't even mention the Copernicus data and Copernicus satellite program. And for sure, it would facilitate our work and the usage of satellite imagery tremendously if the Water Framework Directive would at least mention, or better yet, maybe recommend or even demand Copernicus data and satellites used for inland water monitoring purposes and practices. This would foster our work and the use of satellite data greatly, and it would enable us maybe to implement a European-wide inland lake monitoring program, which is based on consistent data and comparable data and uses uniform methods. And I think this would be really fantastic and would be a real great way and fantastic tool to preserve and protect our lakes in the future and to preserve also their ecosystems for future generations. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Thomas Wolf, also for your outreach to the legislators for future legislative regulation. Our second testimonial today comes from Anna Huk and Michal Masiak from the Polish region of Podkarpackie. They will share with us their experience with spatial data in the area of agriculture. You have the floor.
Podkarpackie, położone w południowej wschodniej części Polski, charakteryzuje się wysoce zróżnicowanym krajobrazem. Od rozległych równin w części północno-zachodniej po grzbiety górskie Karpat w części południowej. Ponad 30% powierzchni regionu pokrywają tereny rolne, stanowiące źródło dochodu dla znacznej liczby mieszkańców oraz ważny komponent lokalnej gospodarki.
Podkarpackie region is situated in the southeastern part of Poland, is known for its diverse landscape, from the vast plains in the northwest of the region to the Carpathian Mountains in the south. Over 30% of the region's area is covered by agricultural land, which is a source of income for a significant number of residents, an important part of the local economy.
Podkarpaccy rolnicy doświadczają jednak trudności wynikających m.in. z niewykorzystanej i niekorzystnej struktury przestrzennej gospodarstw, ukształtowanej w wyniku historycznych przemian społecznych i politycznych, wynikające lokalnie zjawiska porzucania upraw, wymagają szczegółowego zbadania i opracowania planu działań naprawczych.
However, farmers in Podkarpackie experience difficulties resulting, amongst other things, from the unfavorable spatial layouts of the farms, which is a result of historical, social, and political developments. The locally occurring phenomenon of abandoning the farmland requires detailed investigations, and the development of an action plan.
Wykorzystanie otwartych danych satelitarnych systemu Copernicus oraz autorskich metod analitycznych umożliwiło opracowanie skutecznej metody monitorowania zmian w strukturze gruntów rolnych i precyzyjnego wykrywania obszarów problemowych.
And the use of the open satellite data from Copernicus system and proprietary analytical methods has enabled the development of an effective method for monitoring changes in the structure of agricultural land and allows to accurately detect the problem areas.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor for me to present our good practice of Copernicus data using. My name is Michał Maciąg. I work in Podkarpackie Office of Surveying and Agriculture areas in Rzeszów. That is a subsidiary of the Marshal's Office of Podkarpackie region. For our study, we used Copernicus land monitoring service datasets, including core land cover and global dynamic land cover studies. And also using the GIS technologies, we created our own automated algorithm for computing the statistics of land cover and, after the interpretation, also land use changes. Thanks to the satellite data, we were able to learn about the dynamics of the changes and also determine the areas with the potentially highest needs for interventional works. The outcomes were immediately implemented in the process of agricultural structure monitoring. That is a mandatory activity of the regional administrations in Poland. Our data-driven solution enabled to set the priorities of the interventional works, especially the land consolidations that are particularly desired by the local farmers. The activity of land consolidation is co-founded within the resources of Common Agricultural Policy of the European Union. That means we indirectly participate in the subdivision, the redistribution of the European fundings. The next phase of our practice will combine the satellite Copernicus data with the other data sources such as photogrammetry, including our own orthophotomosaics, and the products of airborne laser scanning. We are focusing on building a multifunctional model of the agricultural lands in our region, and we would like to provide the comprehensive knowledge that would be useful both for the regional administration and the local farmers, and that would help them to cooperate on creating a modern, economic and sustainable agriculture in the region of Podkarpackie. But of course, we are also open for sharing our experience with the other regions. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Anna Huck and Michał Maciak. The third user experience comes from the French region of Occitanie. Aurore Delahaye from the French Ministry of Ecological Transition, Biodiversity, Forestry and Sea will share with us the local experience relating to water governance and climate resilience. Vous avez la parole.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. I'm Aurore Delahaye, and I'm a project coordinator for hydrology and glaciology in the research department of the ministry. I will talk about some application of satellite data for water management in France. In 2022, France experienced the most severe drought in 50 years. 35% of the country was affected by a rainfall deficit lasting 10 months and record-breaking temperatures. This crisis revealed severe limitations: fragmented and uneven in-situ monitoring networks, many reservoirs and lakes had no sensor at all, and a diversity of protocols hindering data interoperability and territorial comparison. Consequently, the authorities struggle to anticipate storage, monitor impact, and make fair decisions regarding farmers, citizens, industrial, and ecosystems. In light of these findings, local and national stakeholders have prioritized the integration of complementary solutions with spatial remote sensing emerging as a strategic lever. This is precisely where Copernicus becomes essential. It provides reliable, harmonized, and continuous environmental information which traditional monitoring tools alone cannot offer. Since 2024, the Space for Hydrologic project, initiated by our ministry and in partnership with the French Space Agency and funded by the France 2030 program, demonstrate a shift toward a proactive shared water management. Using Copernicus satellites Sentinel-1, 2, and 3 for most model inputs, it provides an operational toolbox for monitoring water reserve and courses, as well as for agro-environmental mapping with improved indicators for resource management. During the summer 2025, weekly hydrological reports from this project, based on Copernicus data, helped 10 local authorities to closely monitor water stock, demonstrate a high correlation water stock, and adjust usage restriction. These reports demonstrate a high correlation between satellites and in-situ data, in particularly in Occitanie and in Massif Central. They prove an important monitoring bodies for water-lacking ground sensor, providing a comprehensive, fair, and comparable territorial overview during crisis. A colleague from the Adour-Garonne Water Agency remarked, "This solution facilitates the monitoring of water resources. We wish we had it during the 2022 drought." In order to continue benefiting from Copernicus and the progress achieved under this project, two things are essential. Firstly, we must ensure the operational continuity of the Copernicus missions. Integrating Sentinel-3 data will be particularly important for improving volume estimation in small complex reservoir or some water quality evaluations. Moreover, sustainable cloud infrastructure must be maintained to efficiently process large amounts of data. Secondly, and it's very important for us, we need to support users, including local authorities, water agency, water and agricultural syndicates and operators, so that they can adopt this tool fully. Many of them still face barriers to use it: lack of knowledge of the existing tools, language barriers, financial concern or limited resource for new workflow, mistrust in data accuracy, perceived limitation in terms of sustainability for operational needs. Co-design, training, and intuitive dashboard are crucial to ensuring that solutions are operational and trusted. So, maintaining data continuity and strengthening user capacity will ensure that Copernicus remains a cornerstone of Europe's drought resilience. It's enabled a shift from crisis reaction to anticipation, protecting citizens, ecosystems, and regional economies in the process. In short, Copernicus reinforces environmental resilience and supports evidence-based decisions that benefit everyone. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Aurore Delahaye. We now have time for comments and questions by, of course, our hosts, members of parliament, and others. But before I give the floor to you, I would especially recognize the presence of the rapporteur for space, MEP Elena Donazan, and of course, Staatssekretär. Thank you very much for being here today. And of course, Staatssekretär Tobias Gotthard from Bayern. Grüß Gott. I recognize the first question. No, there are micros.
Test. Thanks a lot. I'm Stefano Spinaci, staff of the European Parliament, and I work at the research service of the European Parliament. So the question that I have, given that we listen regions, I think regions are ecosystem. And in the ecosystem, there are present also universities. So my question to all of you is how the university in your regions, they were involved in these projects. Thanks. Or how they can be involved. And this I say also because I see a lot of young people. So I think one side effect is also to create knowledge and know-how in the young people who are in the universities.
Who wants to answer?
Well, I have an idea, maybe, because in our region, the authorities cooperate in several areas with the Rzeszów University of Technology, and also our office cooperates with this unit more thoroughly, more tightly. This project that I have presented was created indirectly also with the cooperation with a scientific unit, as I am also a lecturer and a researcher at the university. It's not the Rzeszów University of Technology, I work in Lublin, but I think it's really important, it's vital to cooperate between the administration and the units of science, that the potential of the knowledge and of the technology, it's much better when we work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Thank you to the research service of the Parliament for this very pertinent question. As NEREUS, the universities are protagonists on our platform. All our partner regions have renowned universities who form a very important pillar of knowledge attraction and bringing knowledge outside to the market. As NEREUS, our president is in the board of an important European initiative, Universe, where excellence university work together to improve the training and education of space-related matters. And we closely link it with the activities on our platform. And within the flagship initiative Copernicus4Regions, universities play also an important role, because often the start of a potential service has its seeds in the university interaction. I like also to ask the members that are present today to share their views on this, and we are really honored to have you so numerous here.
Maybe I will compliment regarding one particular aspect of Copernicus. So besides providing operational services with the Copernicus services, and we see the various applications in many different domains, Copernicus is also key to support scientific activities, and we are monitoring on the other side the scientific publications which are based on Sentinel data. And it's quite amazing to see thousands and thousands of publications making use of Sentinel-1, 2, 3 data. So it's, these publications are coming from academics, universities, research centers, and it's really a key aspect of the Copernicus as well.
Other questions? No? Well, you still have the chance to talk to us afterwards. So, I would now like to give the floor to the president of NEREUS, Thierry Cotel. Mr. Cotel will bring in the perspective of the entire network of NEREUS regions, of which Hessen is, of course, also part, and the current challenges and objective. Vous avez la parole.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, and I would like to extend my greetings to my vice president, to our vice president, Tobias Gotthard from Bavarian region. He's the vice president of Bavarian region, and a special greeting also to Claire Fita, which is a European deputy from my region, Occitanie region, and also member of the council of the regional council Occitanie. So it's a great pleasure to have you and all the assistants, of course. Well, thank you for the question and for the opportunity to speak this morning for space application. When we discuss integrating satellite-based services into the daily workflow of public administration, we are essentially talking about enabling better governance. To achieve this, public authorities have several key needs that must be addressed. Firstly, we need to raise awareness. Europe needs many more initiatives like Copernicus4Regions to raise awareness at all levels of public administration, including the political, technical, and operational level. Very often, satellite services are perceived as complex or distant technology when they can provide direct support for very specific policy challenges, such as monitoring land use, anticipating climate risk, and planning sustainable mobility. Public authorities need a clear understanding of the added value. What can my region do with this data? How will it improve decision-making? How will citizens benefit? Once these questions have simple, tangible answers, satellite services will naturally become part of the administrative toolbox. Secondly, political involvement is essential. The foundation of any successful integration is political will. If elected officials and decision makers are not fully aware of the strategic benefit of Copernicus, its adoption will remain limited. So we must communicate in the language of political priorities, such as climate neutrality, biodiversity protection, resilience to natural hazards, and regional competitiveness. Satellite-based services directly support this agenda. When they are in alignment with public policy goals, the benefits become a strategic necessity rather than a technical option. Thirdly, capacity building is essential. Simply providing access to data is not enough if administration lacks the digital infrastructure and skills to use it effectively. Currently, many regional and local authorities still lack staff trained in geoinformation and the tools required to efficiently process Earth observation data. So we need to invest more in training programs, user-friendly platform, and the digital capacity of administration. Only then will public authorities be able to fully integrate Copernicus services into their routine planning, monitoring, and reporting activities. We need practical experience. Public administration needs support to concrete model projects, ideally transborder or transregional, where different administrations can work together, learn from each other and demonstrate real-life application. These projects act as a catalyst, lowering the barriers to adoption, creating communities of practice and stimulating large-scale, coordinated procurement of Earth observation services. So we think that such cooperation is essential if we are to increase the use of space technology across Europe and ensure that no region is left behind. In conclusion, integrating satellite-based services into public administration is not just a technological challenge, but also an organizational, political and cultural one. With greater awareness, political engagement, digital capabilities and practical pilot projects, Europe can realize the full potential of Copernicus and guarantee that space technology benefits our region and citizens. Thank you for your attention. I forget to salute, of course, Elisabeth and Douche for us. Sorry.
Merci, President Cotel. I now call on the representative of the European Commission, Elisabeth Hamdouche-Führer from DG DEFIS. She will share with us more concrete examples for the use of Copernicus data relating to natural disaster preparedness using real-time monitoring and other important aspects. Sie haben das Wort.
Good morning, everyone. Dear Mrs. WECHSLER, dear honorable members of the European Parliament, dear Mr. Cotel, Mr. Eckert, and distinguished guests, it's a real pleasure to speak here to you today and also to speak after the many use cases that were already presented, because it shows how present Copernicus is already in the regions, the value that it brings to you, but it also gives us an ambition that we have to do much more and bring it much more to the people. It was already mentioned by previous speakers, we live in times where we have increased tensions, threats and risks. This is on the environmental side with natural hazards that hit very strongly. Think about the floods in Valencia or earlier in Belgium and Germany, or think about the severe droughts and wildfires that really impact people. And then we also have the security threat, where we know that we have to step up our readiness to protect and to defend ourselves. And at the same time, we also have a more unstable global context, where we know that we as Europeans have to work very strongly together in order to live up to the challenges. This is one side of the picture. The other side of the picture is that we also have huge opportunities with a very vibrant market for space technology in Europe and very strong innovation. And we also have these rapid advancements on the digital side that can really be a game changer. And if we bring this together, the need to act, the technological opportunities that we have, and the digital game changers, then we can have a true impact. You know that Europe, the European Union, and represented by the European Commission, is very engaged in space, and we have the flagships of our so-called European Space Program. And we have a high ambition for the future. This is why the Commission presented an ambitious proposal for the next funding phase. This is what we call here in Brussels the multi-annual financial framework, with a budget for space and defense of 131 billion euros for both defense and space, in order to live up to the expectations in the context that I have mentioned before. For our space flagships, we focus here in particular on Copernicus. Copernicus has evolved into the world-leading Earth observation monitoring system, which is a true achievement for Europe. It's really Europe as at its best. And it's also always very important to underline to the users what we bring is an operational program, an operational service on which you can count. It's not a project here and there that demonstrates what we can do, but it's continuous data delivered to the users. And even people working with statistics, for example, they turn more and more to Copernicus to use these long-term data flows in order to report, in order to optimize processes, and to keep track of what we need to do and effects of what we have done. I heard the word continuity for Copernicus, that this is a strong priority, and I confirm this. Continuity is the top priority for Copernicus. I'm very pleased for this year, 2025, to say that we had an extremely successful year, and I would like to thank also all actors involved with this. We had 4 successful launches of Copernicus Sentinels, and this really gives us a huge amount of new observation capacities that we can now feed into our services. And we have ambitious plans for the future. This is the next generation of the Sentinels and also the expansion missions. We implement this program in very close partnership with the European Space Agency. Pierre will talk later about it in more detail. And I would like to quickly link to the use cases where we've seen the value that Copernicus brings. So it can be really change the work of people and the impacts that we have. Let's take agriculture, for example, where the Earth observation data and precision farming make a real difference. Let's take energy, where Copernicus can help to optimize installations for renewable energies, for example, to choose the right locations and to increase the productivity significantly. The maritime area is another example where we have the vast complex marine systems that can only be understood if we use the space services. And this has a direct impact on people working in economic sectors around that. Let's think about fisheries, so aquaculture, maritime navigation. Another very important aspect that I'm sure is very close to the heart of you coming from the regions is emergency support. Here we support people on the ground when emergencies hit with what we call rapid mapping, so a very quick service to analyze the situation and give all the information to the local actors, to the civil protection authorities. But it also helps regions up front in terms of preparedness in order to assess risks and optimize strategies on how to react to that. And we also support in the context of recovery. And of course, we also have the security services of Copernicus with border monitoring, which is for some regions extremely important, and of course for Europe as a whole extremely important. There's the maritime surveillance service, which is also very important to track activities going on the seas and also put a threat to Europe. Think about the security of our underseas cable or dark vessels and other things that are going on the seas. And we have the support to external actions. And in the future, we would like to do even more in the security and also defense domain. And the Commission has put forward the proposal for a new Earth observation governmental service. This is the Earth observation part of our space program, but of course it is also very important to link it to our other space capabilities in which Europe is very strong, and this is communication, where we have IRIS² for the secure communication, and navigation with Galileo navigation positioning and timing, where the system will be made more resilient and robust in the future with a new constellation for low Earth orbit positioning, navigation, and timing. So in difficult times, you need to not only to observe what is going on, but you need to be able to locate and navigate, and you need to be able to communicate securely. Last quick point is on support for entrepreneurship, innovation, and users, where we have very powerful initiatives that go along the innovation journey, starting with research with Horizon Europe that you are certainly aware of, and building up entrepreneurship. A concrete example in Copernicus, over the past years, we have introduced anchor customer schemes for new space companies. they say, we don't really want grants. A grant is nice to have, but it's quickly over. What we want to have is a long-term perspective. This is what the companies want. And they really appreciate a lot to have the kind of quality stamp of saying, you are a company on which we count in the future. So we are your anchor customer. And this is also what we want, because we want to build a future dynamic market where we can procure European and we don't have to go outside of Europe. And then all this needs to be brought to the users. Universities were mentioned. They are very important to make the link. The downstream business community is very important. And then to have pioneers and kind of ambassadors also in regional administrations who show what we can do with Copernicus. And this is why I'm so grateful for the use cases that were presented here already. Thank you very much.
Vielen Dank, Frau Hamdusch-Führer. Last but not least, I will call on our last presenter today, Pierre Potin, who is the head of Copernicus Space Offices at ESA. He will talk to us about the future perspectives for Copernicus. Vous avez la parole.
Thank you very much. And first, warm thanks to MEP Andrea WECHSLER for hosting this event. And thanks to our co-organizers, NEREUS, President Cotel and the Secretariat, as well as the Commission. Thanks a lot to the MEPs participating to this event, as well as the representative from the regions. So yes, Copernicus is a great success as developed by Elizabeth. We have today 6 missions in orbit based on the 13 satellites, and we are currently developing the next generation of these satellites. We had last week in Bremen the ESA Council at ministerial level, where the results were quite outstanding. We managed to get, thanks to ESA member state, 22 billion euro for the next years, and this ministerial council takes place every 3 years. And this is really a great achievement, demonstrated the will from member state to invest in space. Space is really more and more taking a major role in the context, geopolitical context of today as well. As part of this ministerial package, we had Copernicus with 2 new missions that will ensure the continuity of the Sentinel-2. So it was Sentinel-2 next generation and the Sentinel-3 next generation, the optical part. And this will ensure the continuity for the years to come for the Sentinel-2 and 3 missions. Copernicus is a program which is led by the European Union, the European Commission, and ESA is co-financing with the EU this program. So we expect that half of this funding for these 2 new missions will be part of the next MFF 28-34. It's very important to ensure this continuity. So we also have, in addition to these 6 missions in orbit, so I mentioned 13 satellites, we are currently developing the so-called expansion missions that will open new type of applications in various different domains. To give an example, the CO2 emissions, which will be allowing to monitor CO2 emissions by humans, be able to discriminate the emissions between natural sources and human. We'll have an L-band radar, we'll have new missions for the Arctic, as well as missions that will open new applications in the domain of hyperspectral and superspectral missions. So, and we ensure also the continuity of the current Sentinels with the next generation missions, which start to be in development today. So it's extremely important that we ensure this continuity, and we expect from the next MFF substantial funding for the Copernicus program. In particular for the space components, where I mentioned ESA is co-funding with the EU, we expect major funding for the next generation missions, but also we need to be able to operate these missions and also to launch, of course, the satellites, to access, as mentioned by Elizabeth, the so-called contributing missions, including the new space missions. And this represents quite an important package, financial package that is required to allow Copernicus to be sustained in the long term. So we expect strong support from the Parliament for this Copernicus package for the next MFF. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to conclude very briefly this very intense early morning session. Thank you very much for your contributions, the contributions of our speakers, and the interest of the audience. A special thanks to MEP Andrea WECHSLER, who made this possible today. We will continue to work for the intensive use of Earth observation data for the European citizens. Please support us wherever you can. And I see I have forgotten something.
Yeah, we
So
want...
Roya will now fill us in on what I've forgotten.
But before we close, we like to give you the floor to comment on what you have heard. And we are very pleased to have our Vice President with us from a very vibrant ecosystem, Bavaria. You heard the cases. Please take the floor. As you
Sorry for breaking the line. Monsieur le Président, cher Thierry, distinguished members of Parliament, Commission, and members of the regions. I like to thank all the ones who gave testimonials of how the regions use what Europe provides. And this is a very important thing that we've shown already last week at the ESA Ministerial Conference, because the regions have played an active role, the Germans, but also other regions, by trying to push the budget for ESA, because we know that pushing space, pushing European space policy, pushing the ambitions of Europe in space gives us more resilience and gives us more things we can deliver to the people. We can show the people that Europe is really delivering for our daily life, and this is a very important thing. My impression is that we need to go on by taking the first place in Earth observation. We are the best ones in the world, as Ms. Hambusch said, and this is a very good position we have, and we need to continue. And we need to show the people that the data we collect are not just collected, but space really counts for the daily lives. I have one example from my side, because we had last week the conference of the German Ministers for Rural Development, and I made the proposals that we have to find a new system for getting the numbers of land use and seeding in Germany, because we have different concepts in all of the Länder. And I said, let us get together, let us find a new system, and let us take the data we have from satellites to get a very clear view on how and how much we have land use in Germany, because land use is not always sealing, and we can have a different view on this, and this is what we put now on the agenda of the German Conference of Ministers, to use concretely data from space to get a clear view how much land in Germany is used, how much land is covered, and how much land is still preserved for nature. So this is just maybe a fourth example how we can, as regions, how we can use space data. And I really hope that after the great moment at the ESA conference, we'll also have great moments for Copernicus new edition. And I can only tell or ask the colleagues from the European Parliament to do everything to have the budget for all the needs we have in this area. Thank you for listening to me, and now I give the floor back to the one who wanted to speak to you the closing words.
Well, not so fast. We have one more contribution, which we look very much forward. Madame Fita, vous avez la parole.
Thank you very much. Just few words. Ladies and gentlemen, first I would like to thank the President of NEREUS, a dear colleague from our region, Occitanie, Thierry Cotel, and thank you for your invitation and, of course, your work to connect our regions through European space policies. Thank you to Andrea WECHSLER for welcoming us today. It's important, and thank to all of you for sharing your experience on the use of space data in our public policies. And as you said, Copernicus is one of Europe's great successes, of course. Every day it provides open, precise and reliable data. Does data help to protect our environment, anticipate risks, and improve our security? And that also supports thousands of jobs in space and digital industry and in our region, of course. This program is not abstract. Copernicus is part of daily life of European citizens, as you said. Our territories face strong climate challenges. For European regions, Copernicus is a strategic tool. It helps to better manage water, air quality, soils, forests, and crises by guiding public policy. And it's also a tool for European sovereignty. And Europe must support these programs to build real strategic autonomy. In my region, Occitanie, Copernicus has very, very concrete and useful application, as we saw. And some areas suffer from drought or even desertification. Others face devastating wildfire, like in the Département de l'Aude this summer. And really, thanks to Copernicus, firefighters could also monitor the progression of fires and evacuate certain areas in time to save life, really to save life. All your contributions show the need for strong and continued support for this essential program. We must continue this positive dynamic and increase, as we do this morning, dialogue between European institutions, space agency, and local authorities. You can support, you can count on my support, of course, and thank you very much, really.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la députée. So, thanks again for coming. Stay tuned, and we will come again, hopefully. Thank you.